Hello and welcome to Tech Raven. I'm Nigel and today I'm doing a quick little review on these Kali IN-8 near-field monitors. These are the second wave ones and they're finished in white. Now I'm not going to do all that thing that some YouTubers do by putting microphones in front of them to try and give you an idea, because you will never have any idea as to what these sound like unless you're actually sitting here in this room listening to them with me. So I'm not going to bother doing any of that, but what I will tell you is in the past, I've owned Adam A8X near-field monitors and Yamaha HS8 near-field monitors and even some KRK rockets. And these ones are unique in that they are a three-way coaxial design. Now you're looking at them and you're probably thinking they're not three-way, they're only two-way, but they're three-way. Now let me explain. The actual mid-range and the tweeter at the top here not one speaker. So you've got the bass driver here, you've got the mid-range, and in the center what looks like a dust cap is in fact a separate tweeter. Now this mid-range and the tweeter in the middle, they both move independently of each other, and more importantly they've both got their own amplifiers. So you've got the mid-range here that moves on its own, the tweeter in the center, and the bass driver down there. Now the reason Kali have actually put the tweeter in the center of the mid-range is basically to allow for a more pinpoint accurate stereo separation, because what's going to happen here as well is you're going to have the mid-range and upper frequencies coming from the same physical spot. Now many three-way speaker designs admittedly would have the tweeter separate. It might be off to one side with the mid-range here and the bass driver lower down, but Kali have gone for this design, this coaxial design, to give a better sound. Now comparing the second wave to the first generation of these IN-8s, they have had a few tweaks, and when I took them out of the box, the first thing I noticed was the actual bass drivers and the mid-range seem to have a more paper pulp with a sheen finish on it, whereas the previous generation had a thick rubber coating. Now because of this, it means there's less physical material on these speakers, which means the drivers are able to move faster and produce more constant transient responses. So there's a sound improvement because of the new speakers that are in them. Also on the second wave, you've got 12 dB less self-noise than the first gen model. And also there's a new, more robust DSP for smoother, high frequency tuning, and less total distortion as well. You've now got only 0.3% distortion at about 400 Hz. So there's quite a few sonic improvements over the first gen with this second wave of monitor. You might have noticed that they're front firing ports, but rather than having the usual round porthole, these ones are in fact letterbox shaped. This allows for the air to disperse in a cleaner, smoother way, which allows for a slightly deeper bass extension and, more importantly, a clearer lower bass extension. It just sounds nice and smooth yet clean, so it's easier to mix with than ones that have got a round port. There's some dip switches on the back of it. Now some people might think dip switches are a bit old-fashioned, they would like something a bit more modern, but I think Kali made the right choice with this, because A, it keeps the cost down, and more importantly Kali actually took these monitors to 2 or 3 really good recording studios to actually tune those dip switches and get them perfect. So by setting the dip switches, you will be able to get the sound of these speakers exactly where you want them. Now if you can't, the dip switches on the monitors won't be the problem. It will be your room or the acoustic treatment within the room. So I mean here, as you can see, my studio is quite small, and you're probably cringing thinking this left monitor is in the corner and the right monitor isn't. So this is hardly an ideal recording environment, but I'm stuck with it. It's the only room I've got, and I'm sure a lot of people in the same boat. It's a very small room, but I have set up the acoustic treatment with bass traps up in the corners and acoustic treatment on the reflection points to get it sounding as good as I can get it. And these Kali monitors sound better than any other monitors that I've had in this room. I've got the dip switches set accordingly. Now they're not perfect, but that's not the monitors, that's the room and the acoustic environment that I'm in. But I know the limitations of this room, and I know how it makes these monitors sound, so I can compensate for that when I am doing my mixing and mastering. And on top of that, I've got some Neumann headphones here. These are the NDH30 open back monitoring headphones, which I do quite a lot of mixing on. And also down here I've got some Beyerdynamic DT770 Pro closed back headphones. So I do a lot of monitoring on those and on these monitors as well, and that basically helps me overcome the inadequacy, shall we say, of my room and the acoustic treatment in here. So with regard to the price, the IN-8 second waves, they cost in the UK about £330, maybe £340 each, so about £680 for the pair. Now, I think that's quite phenomenal. I personally think you'd have to spend at least 3 or 4 times that to get a small upgrade. So for the price, I don't think they can be touched. I don't think any other monitor comes close. Now again, I had the Adam A8X monitors, and they're good, they're clean. But for me, the bass sounded a little bit hoarse, you know, a little bit rough on those Adams, and also I didn't like the tweeters. I can't remember the name of the design of the tweeters, but for me they were very glassy and bright, and they kind of, in me at least, they induced a little bit of ear fatigue, and it just started to hurt after a while. I found the Yamaha HS8s to have a sweeter, smoother, rounded off treble, but the bass was a little bit too woolly and muddly on the Yamaha HS8s, even though they're still a very good monitor. As for the KRK Rockets, never really a fan. They're just too bass heavy. Now they're supposed to be, any near field monitor is supposed to be a natural monitor, totally unflavoured, untuned. It's just supposed to reproduce the music naturally, which makes mixing and mastering easier. And I found the KRKs to be too bass heavy, which means they're coloured. And when you compensate for that in a mix, it means you're going to be taking out bass. When you play it back in your car or somewhere else, you're thinking, hang on, they're a little bit bass light. But with the Kali IN-8s, again, bearing in mind the price, they're under £700 for a pair, so they are budget for sure. They are absolutely phenomenal, and I think you'd have to spend quite a lot more money to get a worthwhile upgrade on them. So that's it. I'm Nigel. You've been watching Tech Raven. I hope you enjoyed this brief overview and review of the Kali IN-8s. I highly recommend them. So until the next time, take it easy. Bye for now.